On behalf of PSI and FOGSI, it's a great pleasure to have all of you over here. Warm welcome to this workshop on improving women's health through prevention of cervix cancer. The objective of today's workshop is to commence an engagement with FOGSI members that will lead to a greater sensitization on the issues of cervical cancer, as well as provide the practical knowledge and skills required to intervene in cervical cancer screening and treatment. I'm hoping that you will find the agenda gratifying, as it covers a range of topics related to prevention of disease, including a session on demonstration.
The investment has been done to reduce the maternal mortality by pregnancy-related complications mostly, and that has shown decline by 34%. But on the other hand, there is no program, no investment on prevention of cervical cancer, and the incidence is rising by 45%. So in a way, it is not being balanced.
What is very striking is even though the Indian incidence rates are on the intermediate side, anywhere ranging between 8 and 30 per 100,000, we contribute 20% of the global burden of disease, almost 130,000 new cases and 70,000 deaths. So what happens to cervical cancer in India will have the maximum impact on the global burden of disease. And in fact, cervical cancer is now competing with maternal deaths. So as a via-media policy, I think visual inspection with acetic acid, the visual inspection has proved very useful. It is feasible to introduce, it is feasible to train people. With good eyesight and good light, you are able to detect acetocyte lesions, at least in premenopausal women. And the level of over-treatment can be considerably reduced, with good training and quality assurance and monitoring. And there are challenges, there is no doubt about it. But this is, at the moment, the only procedure with which you can enter the health service as a screening intervention. And in my view, it is one of the excellent procedures for doctors in their offices, in their clinics, for private practitioners. Cervix cancer is declining in most countries in the world. This is on the left side, you see. And the way cervical cancer is declining, breast cancer is increasing. So 2% decline per annum cervix cancer, 2% increase, because the risk factors are balancing each other. The factors which are responsible for reduction in cervical cancer are the risk factors which are increasing the risk of breast cancer. So at the end, the women's cancers are the same.
Two important things which can help us. One is about HPV vaccine introduction, and I think the examples of so many countries, even developing and some of the African countries, haven't used. I think it's a lesson learned for India to introduce the HPV vaccine. I think here the FOGSI should play an active part and maybe write to the government to introduce it as early as possible. And of course, the second important strategy has to be screening.
What is interesting is that nobody thought that there would be primary prevention of any cancer in the form of vaccine. This cancer, luckily has something like a vaccine.
When we talk about family planning, we talk about a bouquet of options. We talk about the cafeteria approach. We are quite happy to offer a method which has a higher failure rate to a woman, because we think that is the most suitable method for her. So why don't we use this same approach when we are talking of cervical cancer screening? Why do we suddenly become so idealistic?
We have a research study that is ongoing, where a lot of efforts are being taken to keep these women in the study, where we have excellent follow-up of about 80%, whereas we have a screening program where cervical cancer screening and treatment is offered at extremely affordable cost. And what we have seen is about 20-22% of the women have come back for a follow-up who was screened negative. So this conventional approach of using cytology requires at least 10 to 15 screening visits in the lifetime of a woman.
You have to apply the acetic acid with a cotton sock, dip into the acetic acid and apply it profusely for 1 minute. And after applying it for 1 minute, then we have to visualize it by naked eye, whatever changes we see. So the first thing we need to see is identification of the transformation zone or squamocolumnar junction, because the lesions which lie in the transformation zone are of significance. And after applying acetic acid, what changes we expect? Acetocyte. Because the DNA infected cells, they take up extra acid and they convert into white. So this area tells us this is a amongst area. And if any female who is found positive by VIA, the next step of treatment is we see whether she is fit for cryotherapy or not. So cryotherapy, in most of the cases, we can do it if, and this is the instrument which is used for cryotherapy. This is the cryo gun in front, and the lesion which covers that can covered by the entire probe is an ideal case we can do by cryotherapy. But if the size of the lesion is bigger than size of the probe, then she is not an ideal case for cryotherapy. Not better than to explain the procedure of cryotherapy. Thank you.
Or not. So what is the opinion? I think now we'll agree that it is a simple lesion and we can go for a cryocopy.
First application should be on the external os and not on the lesion. So you have to ablate the entire squamocolumnar junction and the transmission zone. So one single application of 45 seconds, you should have always have a ball clock in your clinic to see the timing after application of acetic acid as well as by using this treatment modality. So the first application is on the external os, and if the lesion is extending, then you can give multiple overlapping applications of 45 seconds each.
Now this is a model. So just imagine this is the vagina and that is the cervix, and you're seeing this. That is we are using a chicken piece of breast chicken, and we have this is a cautery machine, but this has a suction and cautery, both are built into the same machine. But you can use the cautery machine that you have in your setup, and you can use the suction which you have normally which you use in your OTs. So the suction, the speculum is an insulated speculum, basically to protect the vagina from burns. But if you don't have an insulated speculum, you can use a normal Cusco speculum and put a glove finger. All you need to do is just cut off a finger from the glove and put it over the speculum, or you can use a condom. Okay, and so that is to insulate the vagina walls. So once you have that, you need to just open up the speculum nicely, so that you don't cautery doesn't touch the vagina walls.
This is very important, but you get smaller one like that. Then you take a smaller one and go in and take another part. So that is what they call a top hat. So hats हो गया. तो पहले आपने ये निकाल दिया, फिर आपने छोटा निकाल दिया. Effectively आपने कोन निकाल दिया. इससे आपका पता निकल गया. But pathologists don't like that. They don't get oriented to that second one very well. But you have to choose whether you want to do that or a regular conization. If the patient wants same day, then we often do that also in market.